Welcome to Coffee with Coaches for the 2022 and 2023 season, a podcast to showcase the achievements of Meeker High School students. Hosting is Tiffany Johoric, owner-operator of Crystal Meadow Farms and sports director of the Herald Times, and Rich Klinsman, owner-operator of Step Beyond Media. They have discussions over coffee with MHS coaches and teachers. They look back for a week in review and what is coming up for Meeker High School athletes, plus so much more. Well, welcome everyone.
Good morning. I guess morning.
Yeah, we have a big day today. I'm pretty excited. This is going to be our first episode that we get to tell everybody about junior high sports.
Yes.
And then we have Coach Theus in the studio this week. They're winding down their season. I cannot believe it. They have this regular week, and then they head to regionals. And then we also have Miss Teresa Anderson, who's going to talk about rodeo.
It's amazing how crammed golf's season is.
I know. Golf and softball, really.
And softball, yeah.
And they play a lot of games. So, running down this all the sports. So this week we had volleyball. Volleyball had a huge tournament, as we talked to Coach Cravens at Denver Christian over the weekend. On their way to Denver, they stopped at Vail Mountain and beat them in 3. Then they went on and took on Front Range Christian. They beat them in 3. They did take their first loss of the season to Sedgwick County, which is the number 1 team in the state. They beat them in 1 set, and the scores are very interesting. It's actually 12-25, 13-25. Then we beat them 25-13, and then they beat us 13-25.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's even though they lost, it's great that they were at that tournament, especially playing against Sedgwick County.
Yes, and it also shows they did beat Sedgwick County in 1 set, so they are beatable.
Yeah.
And Coach was saying they had some serving issues, so if they improved that, I think it could have been different. Then the girls turned around and they played 3 games. They played Denver Christian after that and beat them in 4. Front Range Christian, Sedgwick County were undefeated, but these guys were all like top 4 or 5 teams in the state. So, and in terms of stats, kind of crazy. Emma Luce had 102 kills this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, Reese Clatterboss picking it up too, sophomore. She had 17 and Ainsley Sully had 15. And then if you look over here on the other side in terms of digs and assists and the back row kind of, and then all of the rest of the plays, Emma had 78 digs. And Grace Roberts, who's the libero, had 42. And then you had tons of contribution from Ellie Hosick and Taylor Garcia and Ainsley Sully. And then Ainsley and Gracie Cravens, again, pretty much split the setting. So that was nice to see. In football, you were there,
Yeah.
We're 2-1 on the season. We won 41-14. And honestly, those 14 points came when we basically had the smallest of the small kids in.
Right. It wasn't just the JV. It was...
Nope, it wasn't just the JV.
It was the lower of the JV.
It was, yes. The freshmen and they still had some of their big kids in. And so proud of them. Ryan Sullivan ended up throwing for 98 yards. And then Casey Brink, so for receptions, Casey Brink had 48 yards. Ethan Quinn, who scored, had 38. And Kate Blunt had 24. Top rushers were Clay Crawford once again. I believe this is his 3rd game in a row. Connor was 78 yards. Connor Blunt had 63, and then Brink had 20. And then scoring, it was Quinn, Crawford, Connor, and Casey all scored over the weekend.
Right. It was quite a well-rounded offense.
Yes.
It could have been 80.
Yes.
And then, it was.
Yes, and defensively the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Tegan Sheridan had 5 tackles. Cade, Elijah, and Buzz each had 4. So nobody was really out there. It was nice, well split.
It was interesting to watch how well, and it's Meeker football. I mean, Meeker football. They definitely play as a team.
They do. Yes, it was so fun to see, and it was a good game. The weather was perfect. The moon was beautiful.
Yes, it was.
And we'll talk to Coach Theus about golf, so we'll hit that after a bit. In cross country, they had 6 teams, and Brighton Bear took 3rd place for the girls, which is awesome. She's really being consistently at the top.
Right.
Haley Steele took 41st, and then for the boys, Wyatt Rollins took 14th, Gabe Smithers took 16th, and then Eddie took 21st for the top 3 boys.
Isn't that like the 2nd or the 3rd in a race in a row where Brighton's taken 3rd, 4th, something like that? That's what I thought. So she's really right up there.
She is. She's really being consistent and doing great. In softball, they had 3 games this week. They had just a normal game with Aspen on Thursday night, Wednesday night, something like that. And then they had a doubleheader Saturday here at home against Gunnison. And Aspen, they beat them 21-1. It was a great game. And Gunnison, they lost their first game, and then there was some reporting out there on Facebook that said that they lost their second game, but they won it.
Oh, okay, good.
14-6. But in game 1, Gunnison went an entire inning bunting.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
that's where they scored their points.
Well, now the team knows what they need to work on for defense.
And then in game 2, and I got to see game 2, and that was a lot of fun. Maya Wren, who is from, I don't even want to say if she's from Craig or Rangeley. I'm like 90% certain she's from Craig, but she could be from Rangeley. She scored 4. She was on fire this weekend. Kasten Dabowski, Brie Garcia, Athena Lyons, and Dylan Herndon each scored 2. Vivian and then Brown and then Ryan Mergelman each had 1. Addie Knowles opened up the game, and then Brie took the win. So that was nice. Yeah. And then for middle school.
Yes, middle school.
So starting with football, they pounded East Grand this weekend. 7th grade won 56-0 and 8th grade won 58-0.
Wow.
Yes.
See, and I love seeing those things because we know that in 2-3 years,
yes,
that's how we're going to look like for high school.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. And their head coach is Colton Brown, so they have a new head coach this year. And then their assistant coach is Jarrett Waldreff. So some new coaches, some new blood in there. That's nice to see. And then they are home. Colton wanted me to make sure and tell everybody that they are home Saturday against Craig at noon.
Okay, great.
And then in cross country, Coach Casey said that, it was a warm day and the kids still did really, really well. They had 44 athletes competing at their Tuesday meet, and Ashton Tapia took the first place overall for the team, took 10th in the meet, but took first. And then Dexter Chin was their next runner, and so just doing really, really good. And they are actually home this Saturday, so you can go watch cross country and then go straight over to the football game.
Nice.
Yes. And so then in volleyball, I think that Molly Theus coaches the 8th graders, 7th graders. A team rocked it all day, and B team did end up losing 1 match. And then in Mustangs. Yes. So there's the littles and then the bigs. The littles lost 18-19. They just couldn't get any PATs. But the big kids won 12-6 in overtime. They ended up scoring with 4 seconds left, and they beat the defending what they call Super Bowl champions, Aspen.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. So super fun. Our kids are doing great. And like we said, I don't have any of the high school rodeo results, but I'm sure that when Teresa comes in, she'll have those for us.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Here we go.
Crystal Meadow Farms is family owned and operated, offering a wide range of CBD products. Coming from 5 generations of farming, Crystal Meadow Farms offers farm-to-table products. In-house CBD extraction using beverage-grade CO2 since 2019. They create a CBD oil without the use of harmful chemicals. Their retail products are handcrafted using organic and natural ingredients and are some of the strongest on the market. They offer a range of CBD tinctures, spa products, a pet line, gummies for day and night, and a large line of topicals.
Welcome, Willie. Coach Theus, thank you for being here this very early morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while. I cannot believe how quickly this season is passing for us.
Yeah, it seems like we just started around August 1st because we did.
Yeah, precisely. Yes. And so now the boys are doing great. You have a lot of kids that are consistently shooting very well. Do you want to talk about some of the scores that we've had through the weeks?
We have had some good scores, and some weeks, of course, better than others. But we started out, having some scores that were well over 300, and they've whittled those down a little bit. The way they arrive at the team score is they take the top 3 scores from your team, and so yeah, obviously, if you have 3 100 scores, then you've got, and that's kind of been that 100 number. You know, we've had a couple of kids that have been pretty consistent staying under that 100 mark, but for some of our other kids, it's been kind of tough. You know, I think we were exactly at 300 at River Valley Ranch, and that was on the 16th of August, and which is kind of important because that's where our regional tournament is going to be. You know, I think Will was 90, and then we had Sam at 102, and Thomas and Alex were both at 108. So, you know, getting those down is obviously the goal, and like at Devil's Thumb, we ended up, that was our lowest score of the year. We were at 273 there. So that's, and it's been a goal for the boys. They came up with, they wanted to shoot about around 275, and I think that's a pretty reasonable goal. And we haven't quite gotten there since Devil's Thumb, but you know, that was, Sam had an 88 there, Will was 90, Drew was 95, Thomas was 109, and Alex was 110. So all of those scores were hovering right around that 100 mark, but several were a little bit below. So
Yeah, and RVR, you won't go back there. I mean, you have until regionals. We have this week. You have a couple of tournaments. You have Craig, and then tomorrow you're going to
Steamboat.
And then next week you're back at RVR already for regionals, right?
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So today we are going to the Yampa Valley golf course in Craig, and
Who are
we
you
are
taking
fortunate
today?
that we get to take everybody
Oh,
today
yay.
because we're, you know, a close proximity to each other, and we kind of help each other out a little bit, Coach Adams and I. So we will be taking everybody, but our varsity will be Will, Sam, Drew, Spencer, and Alex for today and tomorrow. But Thomas and Monty will be playing today as well. And today's kind of a big day too, because I think we've got 3 of our 4 regional competitors pretty well set. I think Will and Sam and Drew will be 3 of our 4, and then depending on today's score, we'll probably decide who our 4th regional member will be. So
you're using
and it could
today
be
to shoot out
anybody
good.
because they've all been really close to each other. So if Thomas and Monty have great days today, then they might be that 4th golfer. So
Yes. And then Steamboat, what's that course like? I've never been to that one.
So the Haymaker course is the course that we've traditionally played for a long, long time, and it's honestly one of my favorite courses, but we're not playing there this year. They had some schedule conflicts, and so we're playing at Rolling Stone Ranch golf course that, to be honest, I didn't even know existed. But evidently, it used to be called the Sheraton, and I think I had heard of that before, but so it has changed some ownership and some different things. It's up by the mountain, I guess. It's close to the ski hill up there, kind of in that valley a little further up. So I think it's the lower part of the course is kind of the traditional flatter, and then it climbs up into the valley up in there and gets a little tighter, from what I understand. But I've never played it before.
Oh,
That should be kind of exciting.
That'll be fun.
I'll find some new places to look for golf balls, I'll bet.
I bet you will. And so regionals is a 2-day tournament, right?
No, regionals actually is, we'll have a practice round on Monday. They actually have an event happening on Monday. Regionals, of course, was not supposed to be at RVR this year, but there was a scheduling conflict there too, I guess. So they were kind enough to host it, and we will be practicing after that event. So I think it's a shotgun kind of practice round at 3:30 on Monday, and we get in as many holes as we can, and then the regional tournament starts Tuesday morning.
So speaking of the teams that you're seeing today at Craig, who are they?
To be honest, I don't know exactly who. I know that there'll be teams from the Grand Junction area. It's pretty consistent as to who those teams are. Usually, we see Grand Junction High School, Central. And Delta and Vale and Basalt, Steamboat, of course, Craig. we see a lot of the same teams at a lot of the same tournaments. And so it's kind of cool that the kids really get to know who they are competing against, because it's common that they're playing in a similar foursome. And so, yeah, they have established some friendships there and some competitiveness between the players, and that's kind of a neat deal too.
So how are the foursomes chosen? Are they based off of scores?
So you have a number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 golfer that you assign. For example, today Will's going to be our number 1, Sam is number 2, Drew is 3, Spencer is 4, and Alex is going to be our 5 golfer. And so they will match those with a number 1 golfer from Craig. Will play in that group, and then a number 2 from Craig, maybe with Sam, and so on. And so, but then they also kind of put teams that are similar ability-wise. So, we will play commonly with groups from Delta or Cedar Ridge and those type teams.
Nice. Well, it looks like the weather's supposed to be great today.
Well, that's a good thing, because was it 2 years ago that it was a snowstorm the weekend
Yes.
before, and
Right.
and we literally played in like snow. We had to wait till some of the snow melted off on the greens
Right.
to actually play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was
I know. Oh, well, yep. Weather's going to be great. It's also not going to be 95.
That's a good thing
Yeah, it's
too.
also a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming today and talking to us about golf. And
Absolutely, appreciate it. I thank you guys for hosting this and giving us an opportunity to talk about our kids. Of course, I have to thank Coach Hooks too, who has been just so much help. When I'm away at the tournaments and different things, he of course is holding down the fort, and if anything comes up for me, he really covers it. And the golf course is amazing too. They do a good job of allowing us to practice for free and do what we need to do out there. Coach Kindler, of course, had to take the kids to Gypsum when we were hauling kids up to the Granby thing, and for the 6th graders. So I got to make sure and thank him for that too. And last time I forgot to thank my wife Donnie, because believe me, without her, this would be an absolute nightmare. She helps me out a ton.
Nice.
She was in charge of snacks last week, and they were fabulous.
There you go. The real important stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
You gotta make sure to give her that.
yes. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck today.
All right. Thank you very much.
And
Appreciate
can't
it.
wait to hear how regionals goes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Welcome, Teresa. Thank you so much for coming in. We are so excited to have our first opportunity to talk about high school rodeo.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We're excited to talk about it because we want to share with everybody.
Yeah, so first, before we kind of dive into the actual rodeo pieces and you help school us on what that is all about, can you tell us who the girls are that are competing and kind of where they're competing this year?
Yeah, we're super excited this year. Eva Scritchfield is barrel racing. Wagner Brown is barrel racing for Wyoming High School Rodeo. And then Jessie Poloni also is barrel racing and pole bending for Colorado High School Rodeo.
And are the seasons basically the same time? Because Jessie's been going for a bit, I believe.
Yeah, so Jessie also, and all the girls actually, they compete in other associations throughout the summer. And but this is the high school rodeo season. It starts in the fall. The school year basically starts in the fall. They have probably 4 rodeos in the fall. They take the winter off, and then they'll rodeo again in the spring, and that's kind of the big season.
Oh, okay.
So there's like 10 rodeos in the spring.
Okay. And so what does it mean to be in high school rodeo? I mean, I imagine it's a lot of miles on the road.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment. It is. So like Wagner and Eva will be going to Jackson Hole this weekend. And so that's like a 6-hour drive.
Right.
And so it's a huge commitment of time, lots of practice independently. And, then of course you have all the material that you have to rodeo. You have to have a truck and a trailer and a really nice horse. And so it's a huge commitment as far as that goes. And they're committed to the High School Rodeo Association at this time. And so their points will accumulate throughout the year from the fall and into the spring. and they'll carry those points into the state finals in June. And then from state finals, they take the top 4 competitors in each event to nationals. And kind of that's the grand goal, is to make it to nationals. And usually nationals, we've gone to Nebraska, we've gone to Tennessee, we've gone, a lot of times nationals is in Wyoming, which is really close and easy for us. But people are traveling from all over the world to come to nationals. There's folks from Hawaii and Canada and Alaska that come to nationals. So it's a big deal, and that's kind of the goal, is to make it to nationals. And so yeah, it's a huge commitment, huge commitment.
So you said 4 people from the states for each event.
For each event, yes.
Get to go to nationals.
Yes.
And so just to put some perspective in it, like approximately how many, in Jackson Hole this weekend, how many kids will they be competing against?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the barrel racing, Eva and Wagner will compete against 55 to 60 girls in the barrel racing every weekend. And so Saturday is one rodeo, and Sunday will be a second rodeo. So those points accumulate separately from one day to the next. And so you can have a really great day on Saturday and maybe not such a great day on Sunday, but it's like a double header, I guess you might say.
Right.
And so there's 2 rodeos per weekend.
And is that the only high school rodeo in the state then for that weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then at the end of the season, really 55, 60-ish kids is how many you have to compete against to get to the top 4 to make it. Okay.
Yeah. And Eva and Wagner, it sounds like they're kind of hanging right in the middle of the pack, and every weekend they're improving. And it's kind of a little bit like cross country in a way. You just want to always self-improve, improve on your last time. And so they're doing really well. And Jesse actually rodeos in Colorado, so you can choose what state you decide to rodeo in. And Jesse is rodeoing in Colorado, and she's having a phenomenal fall already. She's sitting 5th in the state so far in the barrel racing, so she's doing really well. And she goes to Grand Junction this weekend.
Oh,
So,
nice and close.
Yeah, super close, which is unusual, actually. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of fun. And, I'm sure that they also, I know that Wagner and Eva and Jesse were competing a bit in our local rodeo system that we were having.
Yes.
But, you rodeo.
Yes.
So how many hours are they practicing?
Oh, goodness. I don't know specifically. I know Jessie Poloni, she homeschools, and, she's associated with the Meeker High School. So the high school rodeo holds you accountable for your grades. Like, they are student athletes. And so they have an eligibility that they have to be held accountable to, as just like our athletes here. And so she homeschools, and I was just talking to her, and she gets up at the crack of dawn and rides her horses when it's still cool in the morning. So they're riding every day for at least an hour or more every day. Yeah. So they have to keep themselves in shape, but they also have to keep their horses in shape.
Sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And in talking to Trina Zucker-Brown, she said that there is some type of club you guys are trying to form.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a bit?
A little bit. I think, right now it's very, it's in its baby stage. They are calling it the Meeker Rodeo Club. And they just are kind of rallying behind each other and giving each other some support and letting other kids know that it's there. So that's kind of the essence of Coffee with Coaches, is just kind of to give them, some spotlight a little bit and know that it exists. The interesting part that people don't really know is how long it's been around. Like, there have been kids in Meeker that have been high school rodeoing for years. And go back to Krista Norell and Cinda Norell, who are in their 30s now with children, and Dina Norell. Cash Atwood High School rodeoed, and Lorianne Klingelsmith, and then my kids, Lane and Ellie, high school rodeoed as well. And so it's been around for a long time, but it kind of, I don't know what the word, it's just not something everybody knows about, and and that it is actually affiliated with the high school age and a high school association. I think you could probably compare it as a cross between a club sport like club volleyball or club baseball or something, and a high school sport. And it's kind of a cross between the two, because they do hold you accountable academically, but then in the regards of a club sport, kids from anywhere can join a club and then rodeo all over.
But I think for the parents, there's a bigger commitment in high school rodeo as a parent than there is in, say, football parent.
Oh yeah.
Like as a football parent, I don't have to coach. I just show up to the game and provide snacks.
Yeah.
And that's all I do. But as a high school rodeo parent, I mean, you really are coaching, you're also funding, you're doing the whole piece. And that's a huge commitment for these parents.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment. And I have to just give a huge shout out to Starla and Luke and Eric and Trina and Anne-Marie. Right. I mean, it is such a huge commitment, not only financially, but just a lot of time and a lot of emotion, of course, like all sports. But there's the ups and downs, and they're hard. But yeah, it's also, the kids get so much out of it. Like not only just learning self-discipline, but just being responsible for another living thing. They have to really take good care of their horses and make sure that they're healthy, make sure that they are sound and able to compete. There's just a big, and they have to be fiscally responsible. I don't know about the other parents, but my kids had to kind of fund their way as well. Like we assisted them, but they paid their entry fees and they helped with the fuel. And so they had to become fiscally responsible for their passion as well. So there's so many lessons that they learn just as young people and hopefully carry on to their adulthood.
And then looking forward into adulthood, if you only, as a football player, you have thousands of kids in one state that you're competing against just in that state for scholarships for college. Right. But high school rodeo, if you only have 55, 60 kids for one of the events, at that point in time, it really opens up the college scholarships.
Yeah, the college scholarship opportunities are amazing. Most of the universities and even community colleges in the western states have a rodeo team. Just as an example, I'll talk about what I know. My daughter Ellie, went to community college in Torrington, Eastern Wyoming College, and was on a scholarship for 2 years there and rodeoed on their rodeo team. And then she transferred to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and is on a rodeo scholarship there. So, we always said, Travis and I, when we get to talking about how much money we're spending on the rodeo trail, it really is a college investment because for the most part, if kids pursue it and if they work really hard and they're disciplined and they market themselves, they will, most likely get a scholarship of some sort. So we always said that was our college fund, sending our kids to college. So it really is amazing the opportunities that they have because they're rodeoing.
Well, and then I think that as it progresses, I have a friend whose daughter rodeos for Texas Tech, and she's graduated now. But when she was at Texas Tech, she also got a sponsorship through a clothing company,
like Cinch, maybe, or something like that. Anyway, sorry, one of them. Yeah,
I'm like, ugh. And she's still doing it.
Yeah.
So there's a ton, and that rodeo spot, there's tons of availability to help them. They also grow and learn and, can potentially go down some different avenues.
Yeah, and really truly consider it professionally. I think all sports have potential, but rodeoing, kids they will go into the professional world, especially since there is sponsorship opportunities,
right?
To help them kind of fund and get through that. And so, yeah, the opportunities are just really, really amazing.
That is amazing. And so we haven't really talked about what their season looks like. I mean, we did a little bit in terms of we have fall and then we have spring and then we have state finals.
Yeah.
So last week they were.
So Eva and Wagner were in Riverton, Wyoming.
Okay.
And they're headed to Jackson Hole next weekend. And then they have Wheatland, Wyoming. Yeah, I know. Long drives for sure. And then Jesse has Grand Junction. And honestly, I can't remember what the one after that is. But then they're done with their fall season. and then they'll keep practicing through the winter,
Right.
but they won't have as many rodeos to go to, and then they'll start up early in the spring, April. And like in Wyoming in April, it's still winter. I mean, here too, but it's still winter.
And the wind is blowing even worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're blessed though. Most of the rodeos are indoors in the early spring, so that's kind of nice.
Good.
Yeah. That eliminates the weather variable, in the
Yes.
sport itself. So
Just gotta
that's
get there.
Lucky, you just have to get there. Yeah, they go to Newcastle, Wyoming, which is almost South Dakota, and so
Yep.
that's probably their longest travel that they'll have. So it's a big one.
Yes, it is.
That- And that was the thing for us between Wyoming and Colorado. We rodeoed in Wyoming as well, and it was really just a matter of travel. It isn't less miles, but the traveling in Wyoming, fewer passes, less traffic. And just the traveling is just so much simpler in Wyoming. And so that's why we went to Wyoming. Colorado has a great association as well. The traveling is just a little trickier. So
It is.
Pray for Starla and Luke as they travel.
Yes, especially if you're going to Pagosa or Durango or someplace
right.
like
Lamar
that.
and
Lamar.
yes,
Ooh,
yes,
yeah, Lamar.
Yes,
Yes.
Pueblo. They go to the East Slope a lot. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming in today.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. It's always fun to hear about what our kids are doing. And
Well, we appreciate the opportunity just to give a shout out to these kids that are working so hard. So
Yes.
thanks. And thank you for doing this Coffee with Coaches. I think it's such a great thing.
oh, thank you.
Yes.
We have enjoyed it.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. That was great to have Willie, our sixth grade teachers, both of them,
Yes.
in the studio today. And it was great to have Willie, of course, always fun to talk to him with his radio voice. And then Teresa, that was fascinating,
It really was. I mean, we didn't know a whole lot about that,
Right.
but wow. It was impressive in the amount of travel and the commitment that they do.
Yes, and we both have decided that we want to go with them this weekend.
Yes. Jackson Hole would be very nice.
Yes, we want to go. And again, it just highlights the depth of our kids.
Right.
They do so many things. Eva, I believe, is also very involved in FFA. I'm not sure about Wagner, but Wagner is just also involved in so many other things. Mm-hmm. And then Jesse, works so hard independently, and that's just really awesome to see.
It really is.
So you have a shout out.
Oh, I have a shout out to my son, Carson Klinsman. Happy 16th.
Yes.
No, I'm just going to leave it at that. Nice and simple.
Nice and
happy,
simple.
Happy 16th, Carson.
When does he get his license?
Tomorrow. So everybody stay off the sidewalks.
Yes, for sure. Stay on the sidewalks. So this weekend, what do we got going on? Well, it's not this weekend, obviously. It starts today with Golf and Craig.
Right.
Tomorrow, golf at Steamboat. And then let me see where we're going. We have then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Softball's very busy this week. So they are home Thursday against Basalt. They are at Battle Mountain. Where's Battle Mountain?
Battle Mountain is Vail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice on Friday. Mm-hmm. And then volleyball, Sirocco here on Saturday. And softball has a game, and darn it, it's not my schedule. But they're home again
Okay.
on Saturday. I did remember that. And then I think we said this earlier, junior high cross country has a meet here. They're starting at the junior high, and then they're going to run around the field and do some things. And then football for junior high is also here at noon.
Right.
And volleyball, I'm not positive where volleyball is for junior high. The Mustangs are not here this weekend,
Okay.
I don't think. Should have looked into that one. And then football's off.
Right. Well, so if you need your football fix,
Yeah, you go
Saturday noon, right?
Saturday noon against Craig, which
Against
is
Craig.
always a tough game.
Yeah. So everybody head out there and support the middle school,
Yeah, middle school and their new coaches and always fun to watch. So then for Athlete of the Week, you know, she's just a senior and she's super consistent this year. And really, I mean, it's been kind of fun over the years to watch her go from, you know, in the high or low 20s into the teens. And now she's running in like 3rd, 4th place. But Brighton Bear is really doing phenomenal.
She really is. And like we were talking earlier, the last few meets, it's always been 2nd, 3rd, right in that area.
Yeah, so super exciting. It looks like Coach Casey might have somebody to take to postseason, so that's awesome.
Awesome.
All right, well, I think that's it for this week.
That's it. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.